We all like to think, if and when we become millionaires, that won't change us. We'll still be the same people, keep the same friends, still be basically normal. The people I'm going to talk about today probably thought that too, but boy were they wrong. Let's prove that money can't buy you happiness with our top 10 weirdest things done by millionaires.
Amazing!
Number 10. Salvatore Sam Ciretto. Salvatore, or Sam Ciretto, was a brilliant property developer, making millions through deals in Sydney. As a restaurant critic, however, his skills were a little more rudimentary. Every night for 4 years, Ciretto would walk down to Cox's Road in Sydney with a roll of toilet paper, choose a restaurant or cafe, then squat down in its doorway, pull his trousers down, and have a massive poo. You heard me right. Every night for 4 years. Eventually, the restaurants installed CCTV, and Ciretto was caught, pleading guilty to behaving in an offensive manner. He later became known as the Phantom Poopster. Though he was not put in prison, he was let off with an appropriately named conditional discharge. I expect he does his restaurant criticism on TripAdvisor now. Number 9. Robert Clark Graham. Robert was an optometrist. He invented shatterproof lenses for glasses, making his fortune. In 1980, he decided it was time to create a master race. He opened the Repository for Germinal Choice, a sperm bank with a twist. You could only donate sperm if you had won a Nobel Prize. Unfortunately, seeing as most Nobel Prize winners were elderly men, not many came forward to donate. The only one that is publicly known is William Shockley, the 1956 Nobel Physics Prize winner, aged 70 at the time. After lowering his standards slightly, Graham did manage to find some clever swimmers, but after his death in 1997, the bank closed. However, it turned out that Graham was actually onto something. 217 children are thought to have been conceived through Graham's repository, and the few that have been assessed do display above average intelligence. Number 8. Ingvar Kamprad. Ingvar could be one of the richest men on the planet, although his financial arrangements are pretty complicated, so it's difficult to say for sure. What we can say is that if you just met Ingvar, you wouldn't guess he was a multi-billionaire. Ingvar, who founded maze-like flat-pack behemoth IKEA, has not let his riches go to his head. Quite the opposite. Ingvar drives a 24-year-old Volvo, recycles tea bags, steals salt from restaurants, and regularly uses public transport at home in Sweden. His home, an average home in a modest suburb, is furnished entirely with flat-pack IKEA furniture, which he of course assembled himself. This billionaire has made a living out of being frugal. No bling whatsoever for Ingvar. Number 7. Leona Helmsley. We don't pay taxes, only the little people pay taxes. This quote should tell you all you need to know about Leona Helmsley. She had certainly lost the common touch after making her money in the real estate and hotel industries. Dubbed the Queen of Mean, Helmsley was famous for her tyrannical behaviour, ruling over her business empire with a foul-mouthed temper. However, her attitude to paying taxes would be her undoing. In 1992, she was sent to prison for 19 months for federal tax evasion. Helmsley's greed, meanness, and bad temper had led to all her family cutting ties with her, and on her death in 2007, it emerged that she had left $12 million to her Maltese dog, appropriately named Trouble. Although a court later reduced the amount to $2 million, Trouble has to be the richest ever pooch on earth. Number 6. Clive Palmer. We all know Jurassic Park was a brilliant action fantasy movie, except Clive Palmer, however. He thought it was a documentary. Austrian millionaire Palmer, who made his fortune through mining, spent millions of dollars on research into whether dinosaurs could be cloned. His plan was to have a cloned dinosaur running around his 5-star Palmer Coulomb golf resort. When his plan unfortunately failed, he went for the next best thing, and filled his golf course with over 100 huge animatronic dinosaurs. I'm guessing his second favourite movie is Titanic, because his current project is to build a full-scale replica of the famous ship called Titanic 2 at a cost of over $400 million. This project is currently running a year behind, and no one knows if it will ever be finished. Will there be a replica iceberg? Only Clive knows. Number 5. Jocelyn Wildenstein, and the Duchess of Alba. When you're a millionaire, you'd think you'd be able to afford a good plastic surgeon. This was unfortunately not true for our next two subjects. Jocelyn Wildenstein was once a beautiful Swiss socialite, married to billionaire art mogul Alex Wildenstein. Jocelyn one day decided that she would prefer to look like a big cat, and spent years and millions visiting plastic surgeons to make this dream come true. Unfortunately, her husband didn't like the cat look, and Jocelyn caught him cheating with a 19-year-old Russian model. In their divorce settlement, the judge granted Jocelyn more than $2.5 billion, on condition that she wouldn't spend any of it on plastic surgery. Then there's the Spanish Duchess of Alba, or Cayetana Fitz-James Stewart, as she was known to her friends. She was also a repeated visitor to the plastic surgeon, ending up looking more like a Pekingese dog than a duchess. She also renounced her $3 billion fortune so she could marry the man she loved, Alfonso Diaz Carambantes, in 2011, much to the annoyance of her family, including King Juan Carlos of Spain. Number 4. Robert Durst. Son of real estate mogul Seymour Durst, Robert Durst had a troubled childhood, seeing his mother commit suicide when he was only 7 years old. In 1982, Durst's wife Kathleen went missing. Her body was never found. Durst was the prime suspect, but evidence was slight and the case was dropped. In 2000, Susan Berman, a friend of Durst's, who may have known what happened to Kathleen, was found in her home shot through the head. Then, chopped up body parts of Durst's elderly neighbour were found floating in a nearby river. He was arrested, but posted bail and went on the run. He was then rearrested after being caught stealing a chicken sandwich from a supermarket, despite having over $37,000 in his pocket. After hiring a super expensive defense lawyer, Durst was acquitted of murder. He spent a short time in prison for skipping bail and tampering with evidence. He now lives in New York, next door to permanently petrified neighbours. All of this proved that with money, you can even get away with murder. Number 3. Nicholas Berggruen and Graham Pendrell. Here are two millionaires that realised money doesn't buy happiness, and did something about it. Nicholas Berggruen made a $2 billion fortune through shrewd investments, but lost interest in cultivating possessions. He sold his house and gave his entire fortune to various charities. He now lives like a nomad, doing business from hotel rooms, owning little more than the contents of his bag. Then there's millionaire antique dealer Graham Pendrell, who took this even further. He gave all his money away to charity, then moved to Kenya to live in a mud hut. He helped the Maasai Mara tribe solve an intertribal dispute. As a result, Pendrell was initiated into the Maasai Mara, the only white man ever to receive this honour. He is now known as the Brave One. Number 2. Yuri Milner, Paul Allen, and Richard Branson. It must be something about millionaires. They've conquered the business world, then look for other worlds to conquer. Yuri Milner is a billionaire Silicon Valley tech investor. In 2016, Milner spent $100 million on sending an ultra-light robot spacecraft into space at 1/5 of the speed of light to discover Earth's nearest star system, Alpha Centauri. He did get Professor Stephen Hawking to advise him though, so he got at least one thing right. Then there's Paul Allen, who was a co-founder of Microsoft with Bill Gates. While he isn't quite as rich as Bill, he's doing okay, with an estimated wealth of $20 billion. In May 2017, he unveiled his Strato-launch aircraft, the biggest plane in the world, designed to fling satellites into space. Allen has been fascinated with space ever since he was a child, inspired by the astronauts of the 1960s like Neil Armstrong and John Glenn. Finally, Virgin's maverick entrepreneur Richard Branson. He's no stranger to weird acts, with hot air balloon races, dressing up as a stewardess, and all kinds of other antics. In 2004, he founded Virgin Galactic, the first commercial space line, promising trips to a holiday resort in space. Flights aim to start in 2018, at a cost of $200,000 a trip. Before I reveal the most amazing example, I'd like to remind you to subscribe to this channel. We upload amazing fact-filled videos every day, so don't miss out on learning some amazing new information. Also, make sure to hit that bell icon to be part of the notification squad. Number 1. Tony Tutini and Dan Bilzerian. Today's generation of moneybags and bachelors are just as unapologetically extroverted, likely due in part to the presence of social media, which also allows us to experience the lives of these ultra-wealthy people. One example is Tony Tutini, who was born in Iran but moved to the USA, making a fortune in real estate and the nightclub industry. He now lives a life most of us would envy, constantly posting about it on Instagram. living a non-stop party lifestyle, driving fast cars, flying in jets, and hanging out with scantily clad girls, who he likes to often disrespect, is all a common part of his lifestyle. But some of his posts are rather questionable, as he does get up to some weird stuff to show his followers. For instance, paying for boob jobs for his groupies, throwing money around like it's water to try and impress people, such as walking them on a leash boarding his jet. Recently, Tony revealed he's getting married and has subsequently deleted his social media accounts. Then there's Tony's friend and Instagram rival Dan Bilzerian, who lives a very similar lifestyle with less outlandish posts, but a lot more antics. The self-styled king of Instagram's fast lifestyle and drug abuse has led him to suffering 3 heart attacks before he was 32. In 2014, he was arrested at LAX and charged with smuggling bomb-making equipment into the country. He gets up to some crazy stuff, from hurling porn stars off roofs for fun, shooting huge guns, and jumping from huge heights for likes. He also likes his pet goat, expensive vehicles, general manly stuff, and completing ridiculous bets for insane amounts of money, like cycling from LA to Vegas for $600,000. It's safe to say both of them have achieved what many consider to be the American dream. If you suddenly became a millionaire, what would you do with all that money? Let me know in the comment section down below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave it a like and subscribe, clicking that bell icon to stay updated. Thanks for watching.